What's up, everybody? Welcome to Sherdog.com. You are in the trenches. I'm Ant Walker, your host. Feeling revolutionary today. Just feeling good. I don't know what it is. Just life's got me smiling right now, despite some personal tragedy and whatnot. But we're gonna keep plowing through. And joining me to help plow through on this fine Thursday evening is the fantastic, the incredible, the remarkable. They're just simply outstanding. This gentleman is one of the finest human beings that has walked the face of the earth in recorded history. I mean, maybe prehistorically there was somebody better. I ain't seen nobody lately. Mr. Jason Burgos, also known as Captain Credential, the CEO collector. What's going on, my man?
I mean, can we just be honest? You're feeling good because I'm here. I am back after a week away. Can we just admit it? You missed me.
You know what? I'll just go ahead and admit it. Yes, Jason, I did miss you.
I mean, why not? I mean, why
I've been trying to like keep the lines of communication open with my random text messages of hating and randomly just saying mean things just for the hell of it. But yes, I did miss you. I did, of course, enjoy working with the remarkable Ben Duffy. He's always a good dude to work with. But yeah, man, it's always fantastic to get to talk with Captain Credential himself after his week-long hiatus.
I mean, I missed you too. The question is, you Jimbo, Europe 1, Frank McEgger, did you miss me? I need to know that. And if you didn't, get the hell out, because I don't want you to be here then.
Frank McEgger actually hits the chat saying he back, ... he back. So yes, it's normal to miss Jason Burgos.
I mean, I'm excited. I got proof that I really was at the PFL. I even laminated my little card. I thought this was pretty good because, I mean, from your experience, they just put like the sticker on the table.
Yeah.
So this was like
random sticker. Yeah.
This was like the folded little thing in my ear. I thought it was nice. I mean, look at it. Good job, PFL. Shout out to you. I kept it and everything.
Yeah, that's pretty nice. That's the nicest placard I've seen to say this is a media table right there.
Yeah.
I have the one from 235. The UFC gave a sticker that had the UFC logo and 235 and on it. I took that off the table and I put it on the back of my laptop. So that was my keepsake. Besides, of course, my stack of credentials.
Yeah, you gotta keep those. Yeah, that's why when I saw this, I was like, I mean, I brought it home and the girlfriend's like, "You want me to laminate it?" I was like, sure. Better than not. So yeah, but I mean, it was an interesting experience. But I'm excited to be back. I'm excited. Ben, I listened to the show, I watched some of it. Ben was great. But I'm excited to be back and talk some MMA.
Yep, Yo Jimbo actually says Duffy did great, but it wasn't the same without Burgos. So Jason, you were missed. You were definitely missed. Shout out to Ben Duffy as well. Yes, he fine job holding it down as always. And before we get started into everything, just on a personal note, I want to extend a very heartwarming thank you to everyone who's watching and listening now that did reach out to me when they saw I posted about my grandfather passing last week. So I definitely want to say that all your messages have been very well received. It's been nice to know that there's some love out there in the world. So definitely appreciate that. Love you guys back. So, all right. So now let's get started going from talking about love in the world to talking about people punching each other in the face for money, which is why we all are here. So we're going to start off question one by Cheeto Ortiz, who asks, does Rose Namajunas get the rematch?
That's a fascinating question. And that whole fight, like the aftermath, is so interesting. I've never really seen anything like that, really. I mean, the one itself, the fight was great, but it really, I think most people probably feel like this at this point, really feels like Rose, it's like didn't like being champion. I think she even made a comment recently, like after the event, that it's now a time to go do something else in life for a little while, something along those lines. So I think on paper there would be good reason to do the rematch, because honestly, she was straight up giving Andrade a damn boxing lesson in that fight for a round and a half. So that'd be good reason. But if she doesn't seem like she wants it or wants to even be champion again, I would say no.
Yeah, I think that's the bigger question is not does she get the rematch, is does she want it? And Yojimbo actually asked the same question in the chat and with all caps, does she want the rematch? And that is the biggest question because we've talked a lot about instant rematches. I think that was a big topic last week or the week before as well. I know that's come up quite a few times. And typically I would be against the instant rematch. And in this case, I can't say that I'm for it necessarily, but I definitely understand the case. This is not a case with like Cody Garbrandt where he was just finished and it was also his first defense. As well, it's it wasn't a case like that. This was Rose had defended this belt before. She looked like a mastermind. She looked like a superstar leading up to this. I tweeted out during the fight that this was a clinic up until it wasn't. There, and before that, I was tweeting out that this is one of the most well-rounded performances that I can recall in recent memory. Like this was fantastic what she did. However, she still got finished. So if I'm going to lay down the line on consistency, I say no, she should not get the rematch as much as it might be deserved in this case. But at the same time, she probably doesn't want it from what she's saying anyway. And then also, once again, you have a line of people that would be perfect for the next title shot against Jessica Andrade. On my post-fight show, shout out to James Lynch, formerly of Sherdog, who jumped on that show with me Saturday night. We were discussing possible options. I brought up Michelle Waterson simply because timing-wise, schedule-wise, that seems to be the best fit. If Andrade is healthy, you've already got Nina Ansaroff and Tatiana Suarez booked up, and they're going to be fighting very soon. So let that fight happen to determine the number one contender. But as long as Waterson's healthy and as long as Andrade came out of that fight injury-free, why not put it together? And I think also the promotion would probably prefer that because they clearly really like Michelle Waterson, and it would be good for them to highlight her even further, to put her in that title shot. It's a fight you can sell. So, yeah, I like fresh contenders coming around. And if Rose Namajunas wants to fight again, which is a big question mark, she's got like the Thanos retirement plan. She wants to get a farm and just chill in like isolation or whatever, which is great, which is fine, which seems to be fitting her to her personality. She's not somebody that we necessarily thinks we thought would be fighting until they're 40. So yeah, man, let her do what she wants to do. But in the meantime, let this belt move on. Let Jessica Andrade face a new challenge for her title, and we'll pick it up from there.
And the whole thing is one of the more unique situations I've ever seen, especially on a card where we had Anderson and BJ fighting long past they really need to be fighting, and even Jose Aldo starting to show those clear signs of a lot of age. Like, she's not like GSP, who was defending a title, and you can see the cracks in the armor and the age and the slowdown, the slippage. Like, she was at the top of her game. She's only, I think, 26 years old. To go from champion to, a defender at 26, it kind of just, like, it's not even a question of, oh, well, she just doesn't want to fight for the title and she'll just wants to make money fighting. She maybe just doesn't even want to fight anymore. And I've never really seen anything at such a high level where a person has lost interest. But that's also what's so amazing about it. And I appreciate her honesty about it, in that admitting that not everybody can be that guy where, yeah, I just want to go in the middle of the cage and bang. Like, that's not really normal. There's a lot of people like that, but then there's these fighters that are more in line with a regular person, just like, this is scary. Like, this is a lot of pressure. Like, this is a situation that really just stresses me the hell out. I'm a champion. I'm in the main event. I got to go against Jessica Andrade to try to take my head off. Like, I appreciate that. And it just shows you sometimes you can't just deal with it. And sometimes it gets to you. And, it's fascinating how she deals with it. But I'm curious. I really just hope she doesn't like retire or leave for a long time, because it weakens the sport, because she is so gifted and only getting better, as we saw.
All right. So before I definitely want to expand on this topic a little bit further. So everybody in the chat right now who's dropping some very good questions, we will get back to those in a second. But I do want to stick with this topic about Rose Namajunas. So one question in the chat from the famed designated member, he asked, is it strange that a person with Rose's personality becomes an elite fighter? Is she an outlier or someone unique? You know what? I see you shaking your head, Jason. Let me jump in before because I know you normally get the first word on a lot of questions, but I do think Rose has a certain amount of relatability that you just can't manufacture. You can't trash talk your way into being a likable person or being someone who is respected on along those lines, because I think in this culture of mixed martial arts now, where trash talk is the order of the day, and everybody's trying to be as bombastic as possible and say as much crazy stuff as possible to get as many highlights and headlines as possible, to have the person being the antithesis to that, someone who is just, it seems like they just want to fight and get paid. And not necessarily want to fight. They just kind of want to get paid, but not even necessarily get paid. They just want to do something and be good at it. And I think that's a very relatable sentiment. She's also someone who comes from a very tragic background, had struggles with, a lot of mental health issues and whatnot. And these are things that the average person can relate to. If you don't go through certain things yourself, you probably have family that does. You have friends that do. So there's a certain bit of her personality that seems like she could be the girl next door. She could be your coworker. She could be your cousin, as opposed to a larger than life Conor McGregor style personality. What do you think, Jason?
Yeah, I don't think it's unusual at all. Especially, I think you might see more of it as time goes along. In that now that MMA is an endeavor where you can really be a sports star and not be super gifted in terms of an athlete like the NBA and the NFL, make it to the highest levels. And as the sport continues to get bigger, it seems like you almost get more regular people that are like, perfect example, Austin Hubbard is going to be on the main card for the Rochester on Saturday. I interviewed him, and he got into MMA just because he was bored. He was into sports and wrestling and football and everything in high school, but he just started MMA like that way. So you're going to get those people, and then you're going to have less of those people that just have a natural draw to fighting and are just maybe athletes or people or they're sportsmen or competitive and get into it. And you're gonna have more people like this where they're just, I'm scared, like this stresses me out, this bothers me, but I'm going to confront the fear and be a better athlete and show technique and skill and do all these things. And I think it's almost a good thing for the sport, because the way she fought like a fantastic technical fighter and athlete, and not just, I'm going to go in there and I'm going to use my chin, I'm just going to brawl, and I love that about it. And I'm glad it's happening more, and you're going to see more of it. It just shows the growth of the sport as it is.
Yeah, one way I like to think of it is that when you have this juxtaposition of personalities, you can have, if you want to liken it to more traditional stick and ball sports, say if you look at the NBA, where Conor McGregor is your Miami Heat with LeBron, D Wade, and Chris Bosh, while Rose Namajunas' personality is more akin to like Tim Duncan on the Spurs, like just someone who's just a regular person for the most part, and they just fight. And that's kind of their job as opposed to their identity. Yeah. I think that might be a way to put it there. So let's see. We've got
well, let me throw in one more thing too, and it crosses sports, and this is good too, and that's why I don't want her to go, because she, to see her confront fears and be like a regular person is great, especially in a time where we have world champion boxers saying they're looking forward to killing a man in their fight. And just representing their sport, themselves, and their title in the absolute wrong way, Deontay Wilder. No, wrong.
See, now I know. Now after today's show, we're gonna jump on Mixed Combat Radio. I see you, homie. Matt Hunter is in the chat right now, and I'm sure we're gonna talk about Deontay Wilder and everything, because I think it's overblown. I'm sure you two are probably going to try to rip my head off about that. So definitely tune into Mixed Combat Radio after this, and we'll talk more about all that stuff.
I think on that show I'm going to do the Walker face.
Oh, the face I give you when you on that bullshit.
Yes.
Yeah, that's the face you on that bullshit. Yeah, if you see that face from me, that means you fucking up. That means you really messing up, man. You need to reevaluate your steps. All right, so Cole Shelton's got a good question. Cole Shelton of Sherdog, the now known as the Judas of Sherdog, for hating on the show last week. But shout out to you, Cole. What up, homie? He asked, does Joanna get a title shot now? She has a dominant win over Andrade, and Andrade said she wants to get that win back.
No, I mean, and you're a proponent of not giving automatic rematches unless there's, certain circumstances. She did not meet those circumstances, still got the rematch, still lost. And then she's lost to Shevchenko. I mean, she's just not on a great run of her grid now. I can see them totally doing it, and it makes sense money-wise in a lot of ways, but just no. I mean, there's just people. Let's seek some fresh blood. No, I don't want to. Where we get enough Conor getting title shots that are probably undeserved. I don't want to see Joanna be the female version of that.
Yeah, see, I'm not too in favor of Joanna getting the title shot. I think if she were like a last minute replacement or something, that would make sense. Yeah. Like that she's a good option to go to in case something happens. But I want to see her get another win in strawweight, and just one win, literally just one win. And I think fine, throw her back in there. I'm all for it. But not right now. Not when you have Michelle Waterson out there putting in work on I think it's a 3-fight win streak. Not when you have Tatiana Suarez, if she defeats Nina Ansaroff, to go in there as an undefeated title challenger. And if Nina Ansaroff wins, it will be her 5th victory in a row.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, so I don't think any of that trumps Joanna just coming back to the weight class off of a loss, and now she gets a title shot. I'm not feeling that. All right, so let's move on from there. We've got a question from DLX, who asked, in what way does the UFC benefit from allowing guys like BJ Penn and Anderson Silva to continue fighting? Do you believe Dana not being as much in the pocket with the new UFC owners compared to the Fertitta era makes him reluctant to force guys into retirement and give them quote-unquote jobs once they get too old to compete, like Hughes, Liddell, Griffin, etc.?
I don't know. I don't know what the benefit is. I mean, your guess is as good as mine. I mean, Anderson, I can see on some level. You can make a case. Oh, he's still pretty good, especially for a 44-year-old man. He fought Adesanya, maybe won the second round competitive. But BJ is just, I mean, that's insane when a lot of good writers brought up the stat last week, the different various stats, longest losing streak in UFC history. The fact that he's getting to that point is crazy. Hasn't won in 10 years. How do you not have a win in 10 years? Like, I get it. He took several hiatuses and retirements, but a 10-year winless streak. And then I know they said this on the show, and I wanted to bring this up too, that, it's not hurting his legacy. I'm sorry. I watched BJ Penn a lot of those prime years, admired him, one of the greatest. I feel this is totally hurting his legacy. Does it take away from him being an all-time Hall of Famer? No. But Jesus, for generations, there's going to be a couple of generations of fans that are going to look at this guy like, who is the BJ Penn? They're going to think BJ Penn, losing streak, getting destroyed. Like, they're not even going to realize how great he was. Like, there's just two sides of this man's career. But yeah, and back to the question, I don't know the benefit. It's not like the numbers were bigger than normal. I think the numbers for this were lower than years past. I mean, or events past. So I don't get the benefit at all.
As far as Anderson Silva is concerned, I do think there is some benefit to him still fighting. First off, he's still a big draw. He's still somebody who generates interest. And the moment you let him go, Bellator scooping him up. One is going to try to scoop him up. Like Ryzen is definitely going to try to scoop him up. And there is definitely still value to Anderson Silva still fighting. Not that I want to see him continue fighting, but he still really can beat most middleweights. And that's insane to say at 44 years old. And you look at his past run of fights, and you're thinking, okay, it wasn't anything to write home about, but he didn't die against Israel Adesanya. Jared Cannonier and Derek Brunson, they are top contenders in the UFC. They are top names in that weight class. If you put him up against some guy who randomly fills out the roster, Anderson Silva's probably going to murk him. So there is some value to him being there. You put Anderson Silva against a Sam Alvey. Sam Alvey's probably getting knocked out. That's the caliber of talent that Anderson Silva can fight, and there's still some value in that as far as putting butts in seats, especially if the event is in his hometown of Curitiba, Brazil. BJ Penn, on the other hand, just no. There's no excuse for it.
Wrong.
It's just wrong all the way down. There is literally no excuse for it. BJ Penn has proven now several times over that he is not a UFC caliber fighter. That's it. if he fought in LFA or he fought King of the Cage or something now, all right. Yeah, he probably can beat some jobber. We got Frank McGregor in the chat suggesting he fights CM Punk, and that's something that I've heard a lot about. The caliber of fighter that BJ Penn is capable of beating right now. But you're getting outboxed by over the hill Clay Guida. That's not BJ Penn, man. That's not UFC caliber at that point. If you're getting outboxed by Clay Guida, he couldn't defeat Dennis Seaver, who hasn't been effective forever. Like there are lines that need to be drawn. Why is he still in the UFC? Because at this point, I mean, they're paying him $150,000 a fight, I believe it is. Yeah. I think that's the figure that we found out last week. $150,000 a fight. Why? How much interest is he generated? He was a curtain jerker on the prelims. How much interest is BJ Penn's presence generating right now?
Yep.
In
an era where like a Horiguchi was let go, Shorty Jose Torres was let go. I did show Jordan Ronaldo was let go after one loss. Like talented guys in their prime of the year, they're getting let go left to right, but BJ Penn's still around.
Yeah, there's no justifiable explanation for that. He has not shown himself capable of competing on a UFC level. Mm-hmm. That's it. There are no ifs, ands, or buts about it. If he wants to continue fighting and he fights in smaller promotions, or if Bellator scoops him up and they throw him in there, Bellator would throw you in there with some jobber, just for the ratings. But
even Bellator's lightweights, Chandler, Patricio, Avisha moved up, Sanchez. These guys would destroy him too.
They would. Like, so why? I mean, at least with Bellator, at least they have like the senior citizen circuit going on. Oscar De La Hoya,
BJ versus Hoist, I'd watch it.
Yeah, like if we're going in that direction, Jay in the chat is suggesting BJ Penn versus Ben Henderson. Absolutely not. Henderson wouldn't mark him. Yeah, it wouldn't be fair. Like when you're talking, like at that point, like we've gone to the ridiculous. We've gone to the absolute ridiculous in order to keep BJ Penn at a world class level. Because either one, you're bringing up guys who aren't world class and you're throwing them in there to get slaughtered by him, which you got to dig really deep to find.
Yeah.
So you're gonna degrade the value of the product and the roster with this. Much like a lot of the backlash about CM Punk experiment that you're bringing in people who don't belong in the UFC yet, like you're gonna rehash those sort of arguments, or you have to have ridiculous matchmaking like him versus Horace Gracie, where where it's just like, wow, that's pretty silly. Those are the only options you go, and none of those options makes any sense. We got somebody in the chat saying BJ versus Bendo ? And it says, why not put him against Ngannou? Like that's the level of ridiculous that we are trending toward. Yeah. Just no. Just let it go. Let it go. If BJ Penn wants to keep fighting, let him do it outside of the UFC. Dana White, this should no longer be your problem.
Mm-hmm.
Especially since he can't, they can't actually have the jobs offered like they did with Matt Hughes and Chuck Liddell, and Forrest Griffin, the only one who actually did a job, retain a position. So yeah, like you can't do that anymore. Just let him go. Let him go. If he decides to do something stupid on his own, he does something stupid on his own. Wash your hands of it. You cannot, in the same breath that you were ready to crucify the California State Athletic Commission and Oscar De La Hoya for the farce known as Liddell Ortiz 3, and then turn right around and book BJ Penn to fight in the UFC. You can't do that. Those two things don't coexist in this world. You pick one or you pick the other. That's it. I don't think I have anything left on this topic, man. What about you, Jason?
No, I'm done with BJ Penn for now and a long time. I'm good.
Oh man. Oh my goodness. All right.
10-year losing streak.
Yeah, and his last win was against the ghost of Matt Hughes. Like, let's knock it off.
Oh my God.
It's not funny any longer. No. Let's knock it off. Oh my God! All right, all right. Next question is from Tomas, who asks: is it almost a bit anticlimactic to go from Cerrone versus Ferguson to Jessica I versus Valentina, going from a 3-round potential fight of the night, fight of the year, to what will presumably be a snooze fest? Reminds me of going from Eddie versus Justin to Cejudo versus Pettis.
And the main event of that, it's Moraes versus Cejudo, right? Of that same card.
I believe it is, yes.
Yeah. I mean,
that's the Chicago card, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, at least it's not, if it was Shevchenko was the main event and that had come as the co-main event, oof, God, make it look much more ridiculous. But I mean, it happens sometimes. Is it anticlimactic? Is it disappointing? Without a doubt. I mean, that fight has just unbelievable potential to just be hell in a cage. I mean, but I don't know. We've talked about this in the past, why there's such sticklers for this title fights have to be headliners of pay-per-views rule. Like on a level, I get it. And I get it. And we're trying to be a progressive society. You don't want to diminish a title, especially if it's a women's title, being held by talented women. But goddamn, good fight's a good fight. And this is a much better fight than, honestly, even the Moraes versus Cejudo, which is a fantastic fight. But, it's just matchmaking. This is the one time if they did Bellator style matchmaking, this is Bellator, that'd be the main event. The Ferguson versus Donald Cerrone would probably be the main event, especially in the era where we got Chael Sonnen and Machida over the Grand Prix and Nima Gracie, Rory McDonald, and Caldwell or Gucci. So, they need, this is the one time UFC needs a little more Bellator in their life and less UFC protocol in their life.
Well, while I agree that it is anticlimactic, I don't have a problem with it because I do think now I definitely don't believe that every pay-per-view should be a title fight headlining. I don't agree with that. I think if you put Cerrone versus Ferguson in a 5-round main event, yes, here's my credit card. I'm going to throw it at you and you better accept it and let me watch this fight. So I'm all for that. But if you're going to have a title fight on the card, that title fight needs to be above anything else. Even if you have what could be the greatest number one contender fight since sliced bread. I really think that you need to value the title. And that's a problem that the promotion has had this with creating interim titles, with just kind of throwing weird matches around and stuff. If you have the title on the fight card, it needs to be above anything else because the title should mean something. Now, just because Jessica I challenging Valentina Shevchenko is not the sexiest matchup on paper, this is not something that we're expecting to just blow the doors off action-wise. It still is Jessica I earning her spot, going through the gauntlet of potential opponents and fighting them and beating them and earning her spot as the number one contender, and Shevchenko winning the belt and now defending her title against the next person in line. I will never be against that. That level of order needs to exist on a regular basis. We are just coming off of a ridiculous run of all the champions mixed up in these super fights and all sorts of unworthy contenders being brought up and a lot of chaos and interim title belts being created to throw all sorts of disarray in the divisions. I like stability in my divisions. I like stability in my title picture. That's what we should be preserving. That's what we should be willing to accept. Sometimes it's going to happen like this. Sometimes it's not the end of the world. We're still going to see Cerrone versus Ferguson. We're still going to see it. Yes, it'll be better as a 5-rounder. But now let's start talking about maybe potential number one contender bouts. So if you're ranked above a certain amount of money, maybe those should be 5-round fights. Maybe. That's another conversation. Of course, they need to be paid as such. But that's another conversation. But as it stands right now, title before anything else.
And what's funny too is people are upset that, it's not 5-round fights. That has the makings to not even need 5 rounds. That feels like a fight that's probably not going to go 5. I don't know if you agree.
Well, actually, the thing is, with this fight, maybe it doesn't go 5, but I do think both guys being slow starters, they probably won't be at their best until about the 3rd round.
Yeah.
And it is when you start seeing the best version of them. And of course, that's probably when it's going to start getting good. So, what fight was that? Cerrone fought Ben Henderson. I think it was their 3rd fight. And it had that sort of feel. And this was at a time where both of those guys were on quite a run. And this was a pretty good pairing right there to match them up again. And for whatever reason, it just seemed like they were warming up until that final round, and then it was over, and it felt kind of unfulfilling. That could potentially happen this fight, but I'd rather see that happen in this fight and order and title integrity be preserved. I think that is more important in the long run. All right, so. Let's see. Let's scan the chat because we do have a backlog of questions on that. So, since we were talking a little bit about some future matchmaking, and I know we'll dive into Pettis versus Diaz and whether or not that fight actually does happen. Cole dropped a question earlier and asked, "What do you think of Holloway versus Edgar, and how do you see it going?"
I mean, isn't that kind of like? Are we going to cover that a little bit with the next question anyway?
Actually, sure. I'm looking at the next question. Yeah. So let's just read the next question. Personal amicability between Frankie Edgar and Dana White is the reason why Edgar is being tossed this title match. That instant rematch versus Bendo felt like it was under a tad sketchy circumstances. Or is this just another example of the Ali effect in action? And a follow-up from Frank McEdgar. Do you guys agree with the Edgar Holloway matchup? So, yeah, I guess that is a very popular question today. What do you think, Jason?
You know, you don't see it much, but it seemed like, and I felt like we were all kind of under the impression when Frankie took that fight with Ortega, there was kind of an unspoken Dana White, Frank Edgar, I owe you one. And even though, you know, this probably should have happened months ago, but you know, the Holloway going up to fight Khabib and then his various things couldn't make way. Then Ortega was automatically the guy who deserved the shot, so they made that fight. Then Holloway gets this fight for the interim title, which was fun, but maybe it really shouldn't have happened. It should have been Frankie months ago, but now it's going to you know, like this guy did a favor. He took that fight. He lost it, but he's still been good, still winning. And, you know, he's going to get the opportunity. And it's not like it's a bad fight. It's still a good fight. But you know, and the thing is, I think people are only up in arms because of Volkanovski. If this would have happened 2 weeks ago, people wouldn't have said nothing. If this happened 2 weeks from now, they would have said, you know, the MMA fan base is such a in the moment fan base, and Volkanovski looked great against Jose Aldo. He's been on a run. He is deserving. I'm not saying deserving, but he's the hot flavor right this moment. So they're like, oh, what? Why is he getting a title shot? What's going on here? You know, everybody's getting upset. It's not a bad matchup. And Volkanovski still is probably likely next in line if he doesn't feel like waiting. So I don't hate the matchup. It's a matchup I've been waiting hoping for at least for 2 years now. I'm finally gonna get it. You know, I'm for it. I'm not against it. It makes sense on a lot of levels. You know, Frankie's been that guy that he really has gotten a lot of title shots, but he's also the fucking outlier special guy that has been good for like going back. I didn't think I was gonna go back. I'm going back to BJ, his last winning streak, his last fight, his last one fight. You know, that's Frankie Edgar beat him before that last win. And then Frankie Edgar has been still winning in 2 different divisions since then. He's the weird fighter that's he's the antithesis of BJ, and that he's continually always been good for the last decade. So he's not a bum fighter. He's a good fighter. So I don't hate the matchup. I'm still looking forward to it. It's got more sizzle than Volkanovski. No disrespect to Volkanovski, but Volkanovski will get his shot soon enough. When is the Frankie Holloway fight? When is the date for that?
That is July 27th, I think it is.
I mean, if Volkanovski's willing to wait till September, he'll probably get his shot in September, something like that.
Yeah, I don't think this is that big of a deal. Yeah. I really don't think this is that big of a deal. I don't see what the outrage is about this because Volkanovski just fought Saturday.
Yes,
he just fought Saturday. Do you think he's like maybe he would be ready to go for late July? Maybe, and that's not totally out of the question. But the man did just fight, so let him catch his breath. let him heal up or whatever else. And if Holloway, which by the way, I am surprised to see Holloway trying to come back so soon. That's more the shocking thing to me in this. But if Holloway is ready to go and to defend his title at the end of July, why not? I do think there is a bit to Dana White liking Frankie Edgar. I do think there's a bit about his manager, Ali Abdelaziz, always being able to get his fighters in these title shots. Let's not forget that Kamaru Usman was able to jump the line over Colby Covington, and that was a fight that a lot of people were anticipating versus Tyron Woodley. The aforementioned Cody Garbrandt and TJ Dillashaw rematch as well. So yeah, Ali has been able to get his fighters some preferred spots. So take it for what you want. But Frankie Edgar is a guy who has been a company man. We hear that phrase all the time, being a company man and answering the call when the UFC rings the phone or whatever. He has done that, and it's about damn time that somebody is rewarded for it. Yeah. Because we've seen the UFC toss someone aside like it's nothing in a heartbeat, and it's good to know that Frankie Edgar at least is immune from that. So the timing seems to line up right. He did have a title shot in the bag for Holloway until a Holloway injury messed it up. He did the UFC a solid by taking on Brian Ortega. We know the rest. Let the UFC pay that back to him, and we'll see what happens. Volkanovski will have his shot. As long as he doesn't bust himself up in training, he'll be ready to go in the very, very near future, and we will forget about this chapter at all. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, of course, Frank McEdgar in the chat advocating for Frankie Edgar. Couldn't tell he was a fan, but designated member saying Edgar got a title shot off of beating Cub Swanson for fuck's sakes. I get that line of reasoning, but still, timing wise, like who else? Like I wouldn't put Zabit Magomed Sharipov in this position. Moicano, he's just booked lost. Moicano was booked to fight. Who's he fighting next? He's I'm drawing a blank. But Moicano was fighting somebody. He's fighting somebody. Maybe he's fighting Zabit. I don't know. I think that's whatever. It's going to be a good fight. I know he's in a very, very nice, violent matchup. Ortega. He's fighting Ortega. It's Korean Zombie. Korean Zombie. I was wondering if it's that. Yeah, I was at the Ortega fight. I'm tripping. All right. So, yeah, he's fighting Korean Zombie. So, yeah, like some other guys that you can think of are going to – they're going to have the turn on. Volkanovski be right there. So, chill out.
And I'll also add in defense of Cub Swanson, I did an interview with Shane Burgos, submitted the article last week, and part of the article was talking about him beating Cub Swanson. When you look at Cub Swanson's record, the guy only loses to the elite. Yes, I know he has 4 in a row, but his 4 in a row is like Frankie, Ortega, Moicano, and Shane Burgos. Those are some of the best, if not the best, in the division. And if you go back in his history, it's like Chad Mendez, like the elites from the last decade. So, I mean, yes, Cub Swanson is not what he once was, but if you beat Cub Swanson, you're probably pretty good. Frankie's beaten him twice now. So,
yeah. All right. So, yeah. So, obviously, I was getting names all mixed up, but Jay informed me why I'm so twisted up. Rumored to we're going to see Brian Ortega versus Zabit Magomed Sharipov, and I think that's for UFC 241 as well. Ooh. That's the rumor for that fight. So, yeah, but man, a lot of good stuff coming up. But all right, now as far as the next question goes, you're gonna love this one. This is from Jetty and the Bins. He asks, "Is Enter the Dragon the worst event name that one championship has ever come up with?"
I can't say I know all the names. It's got to be there, but I can't imagine in the annals of MMA history with some of the rough ass names the UFC had for some of their early pay-per-views. I can't imagine it's the worst. We were talking about this a little bit in the Slack chat. I just wish it would have made more sense in that, like maybe Christian Lee or Shinya that was their nickname. It would make sense. Enter the Dragon. It's a title fight between them. They're in the main event. Or even Sage. Like Sage was the Sage the Dragon Northcutt in his debut. On that level, marketing wise, I get it. It's Enter the Dragon is like, oh, popular, martial arts Asian based movie. We're just gonna use it. It's a little lazy. It's a little weak, but Enter the Dragon's fucking a classic. I love Barry Gordy's and The Last Dragon. If they would have called it The Last Dragon, I would have been fine too. Things with dragons for Game of Thrones fans out there is pretty good. So I don't mind it that much. Is it a great name? Probably not.
It's definitely not a good name. Enter the Dragon is one of the greatest movies ever made, but naming an event that is total dog shit.
Do you know Barry Gordy's The Last Dragon?
Do I know Barry Gordy's The Last Dragon? Come on,
I got it on Blu-ray, baby.
You're talking to a black man. That movie is like Kung Fu Bible in the hood, man. Come on now.
I gotta
do I know The Last Dragon? Show enough. Let's get real. But yeah, I as far I cannot think of too many names to one championship events. So as far as the scale of one championship event names comes, I don't know. But like you said, well, actually, Jay just dropped some other ones in the chat. Throne of Tigers, was that?
Global Superheroes. I kind of like that one, honestly. I won't lie.
That sounds like a comic book. I like that
but
too.
I like, Throne of Tigers.
Tigers, super trash.
Yeah, Masters of Fate. Masters of Fate sound like it could be.
Masters of Fate sounds so melodramatic. Get it the fuck up out of here.
You know what? I really wonder because and I respect that they're going the tougher route. They're not just going with numbers. But do they have like a writer's room and they're just sitting there for like 4 or 5 hours and they go, okay, guys, all right, we got to think of the next 50 events. Let's get some names going. Enter the Dragon. Yes, all right, got it. Write it down. Yes, Enter the Dragon.
So essentially, his job consists of going on IMDb and looking up all the martial arts movies and just so next is going to be Kiss of the Dragon.
Yes, I would like that one too. That was a good movie.
Yeah, Kiss of the Dragon was dope. Kiss of the Dragon was dope. It'll be Iron
Blu-ray. Wow.
Next. I wonder if there'd probably be some copyright infringement if you named it like Return to the Shaolin, like Wu-Tang would probably have a problem with that. Or you could get rid of to make the beat that always plays in the background during the one event. Never mind. I'll tell you that story off air. So, designated member is declaring me the true Shogun of Harlem. That's what's up. You get.
He's never been to Harlem. I live in New York. How could I not be the Shogun of Harlem? That makes no sense, does it?
I mean,
I'm not even that far from Harlem.
Clearly because I'm black. All right, it's clearly because I'm black. All right, that's what's up. There were some Hispanic people in Last Dragon, weren't there?
I don't know. There was the Asian guys that owned the fortune cookie.
Like the worst. I mean, you talking about like that's a movie that could not be made now because it's so crazy stereotypical. No. But anyway, let's not go down that rabbit hole because we could talk about kung fu movies and stuff all day. All right, so we got a question from the homie Europe One who asked, last week at LFA 66, Andrew Tennyson submitted another human being with an Akioplata, a mounted Gogoplata, the second in MMA history. So I ask you, do you have any favorite super esoteric submissions?
Like just the name or just like the actual occurrence of the submission?
Why not both? Whatever.
I name wise, I was always a big fan of what's a Peruvian necktie.
That just doesn't it sound like an execution move from a cartel or something?
It's awesome. That sounds like a villain, like a Bond movie or something. But if there's like favorite submissions, I mean, and oddly enough, they would just I've seen people putting GIFs on Twitter. I mean, the DJ submission against the throw up armbar,
the Mighty Whiz Bar.
Yeah, like that is insane. But they've already kind of mentioned. I'm always a big fan of platas, be it an omoplata, a gogo plata, because it's so hard and it's such a crazy looking submission. You're getting the leg around their arm, and it just that's always been my favorite. I mean, any plata I love, but Peruvian necktie is my favorite name.
So I'll have to say two come to mind. First is Nick Diaz submitting Takanori Gomi with the Gogo Plata.
Yep, that one.
It's cool because he was high as a kite when he did it, apparently. So that's like really dope. Mm-hmm. But then also the twister that Korean Zombie put on Leonard Garcia, and that's more of a personal thing. I just remember exactly where I was watching that and how exciting it was, and Joe Rogan's commentary made it so much better because he was so just childlike enthusiastic about what was going on that it was kind of infectious. I like that moment. So
is that one called like a neck crank too?
I think it is a neck crank, I believe, but it's called a twister.
Like, what a great name too! Like neck crank. You just imagine somebody just
yeah.
It's just so good.
But like the neck crank is more of just like the style of submission, but not necessarily one specific one, because you can switch from a rear naked choke into a neck crank if like they sliding out the choke a little bit. So yeah, that's just kind of a category. But the twister was pretty savage. Definitely enjoy that. And I always have trouble getting someone in that on UFC 3, so I'm going to keep trying. and I leveled up my character and everything to have the best twister, and for some reason, I don't know. So we gotta. Never mind. I'll leave that alone. Well, someone in the chat is saying, if he didn't sub him in the UFC or Bellator or PFL, it doesn't matter. No, that's wrong. So let's see what else we got. We got another one from Frank McEgger, who says, what is up with the timing of the Bellator Welterweight Grand Prix? Douglas Lima has his first fight September 29th, 2018. Rory McDonald has his first fight April 27th, 2019. Excuse me, September 29th, 2018. And Rory McDonald has his first fight April 27th, 2019. That's 7 months apart. What kind of tournament is that?
Yeah, I mean, that's great research by getting all those dates. Quite impressive for a chat question. But no, yeah, it's the logistics of fight sports. I mean, that's the difficulty of it. Tournaments, Grand Prix are weird like that, but that's just how fight sports are. Some guys just have long periods of time they don't fight, and other guys fight real quick. It's just how it worked out.
Well, I think it's more so because Rory McDonald's attempt at taking the middleweight belt as well, that threw the timing off. And I still, beyond the fact that was just not a smart fight to take, I don't think it ruined him. To have it so close to a tournament where he is going to be defending his belt theoretically multiple times doesn't make any sense whatsoever. So I think that is very poor planning on their part. And it's kind of like either one, you proceed with this super fight and you have Rory McDonald wait at the end of this bracket and the winner of that tournament he fights, or you say no super fight, you fight through the tournament. I don't think you could really have it both ways and expect any sort of reasonable outcome to that.
Yeah.
All right, so we're going to move on to the poll question, and Jason, of course, if you could read the statistics on that after I'm done reading the question. The question is: will Nate Diaz versus Anthony Pettis materialize at UFC 241, or will the bout be canceled or postponed prior to August 17th?
All right, our results are 52%. Are for yes, the fight will happen at UFC 241. 41% of people voted that Nate Diaz will pull out of the fight. 7% of people voted for Anthony Pettis will be pulling out of the fight. And Jay also made the note of Nate Diaz has never pulled out of an officially signed fight, while Pettis has withdrawn from 3.
So this is kind of a strange situation, because with Nate Diaz not making it to a fight, it's more about a promotional thing. It's going to be something, a battle fought at the negotiating table. It's going to be something that doesn't involve actually stepping foot in the cage, because if Nate Diaz says he'll be there to fight, chances are he will be there to fight. Anthony Pettis is definitely the one who has had the injury woes over his career and has had to pull out of fights multiple times. However, this one just seems, I don't know. Nate Diaz seems so fragile as far as getting him into the cage, because any little thing will set him off and piss him off. I was there at the press conference around 227 where they are officially announcing him versus Dustin Poirier, and he stormed off the stage when the screen of Conor versus Khabib was announced, and that upstaged his grand re-entrance into the sport. So I don't know. I don't know if you do something like that. Yeah, he might just walk off and just say, screw this. But I think maybe the UFC will be smarter than that. So as long as Pettis doesn't get hurt, I say this fight happens. I think Pettis too. He wants this fight in particular, and him and Nate Diaz have some sort of feud with each other that's gone on for quite some time now. Yeah, this fight happens, man. It'll happen August 17th. I will be there in the building for that, so it better happen.
I think a good question is, will the UFC have Nate do as little media as possible? Because I think they want to get him there, and they know, like you just perfectly said, he gets mad at everything nowadays, it seems like. So I feel like we are just not going to see Nate Diaz very much at all until fight night. Like, they're not going to ask anything of him. They just want him to be there, make money off of him, and get him out there to fight. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that makes sense. Like, if you don't have him doing a whole bunch of the media rounds, you have less likelihood of pissing him off.
Yeah.
But I think actually maybe they should try to reintroduce like an embedded style feature. They had something like that for Waterson versus Kovacevic a few weeks back, and I think this will be a good time to have a show like that, to where you can have Nate Diaz just follow a camera crew follow him around. That won't necessarily cramp his style. He'll still be himself. You still get promotional footage. You might get you will get some funny quotes. You will get a lot of good things that can fit into a commercial or can be slotted into some sort of online promo spots. But you also don't run the risk of making this man tired of being at a radio station, tired of going on the talk show circuit, tired of being in front of press conferences and whatnot. He will still be in his element while you get the footage that you need. All right. So, that'll be that. So let's move on. All right. Let's see. Next question here is from... Before we go on the question, we have some discussion about your status as Shogun of Harlem. You, sir, according to designated member, you are Benny from the Bronx.
Oh, really? Wow. No, wrong. I mean, that's a good reference. And I appreciate that, I'm from the Bronx, and that's good. But no, Benny from the Bronx was like a straight up Cole Shelton level Judas. Like, I don't want to be that guy. I love Carlito's Way, and I don't want to be Benny from the Bronx. I'd rather be Pachanga. Well, he's a Judas too.
Well, see, the thing is, I haven't seen Carlito's Way in so long.
What?
I thought this was a Jennifer Lopez reference. I thought it was just rhyming with Jenny from the block. But
and I like John Leguizamo, but that guy Benny from the Bronx was a son of a bitch.
Oh man, you don't hear too many people just except for movies. I only hear people in movies say "son of a bitch." Only a curse used in movies. That doesn't happen in regular conversation. At least people I talk to.
And you have to say the right "son of a bitch." You gotta put it. You get that stank on it.
You really meant it, man. That was heartfelt.
Carlito died from Benny Blanco. No way.
All right, so let's go to next question from Europe One, who asks, what does Charles Oliveira versus Nick Lentz 3 even indicate? Oliveira just beat David Taymor, who in turn just beat Nick Lentz, and did so effortlessly. Does the UFC just not care about fighters who don't have killer managers? Is half of the game 90% backroom dealings? Love the Tim Sylvia reference there.
Yeah, and when I saw that one, I thought it was a little odd. But honestly, to bring up another interview I did recently, I did with Julio Arce, who's at Rochester. He was talking about how he had a lot of trouble getting a fight. He fought in December of last year, 230 or November, and he had a lot of trouble getting because for his division, a lot of people were. Are the cops coming to get you? Did they circle the building and they come now? They realize what apartment you're in?
I'm just a little bit worried right now. I put on my Black Panther party hat and the siren started flaring, man. I don't know.
But
let me mute my mic while the SWAT team is hovering.
But yeah, I just sometimes again going to logistics. Sometimes you just have certain guys are available. They want to fight. They're not willing to wait. They throw the idea. Hey, this guy wants to fight this guy. Do you want to fight him? And then it just happens. Maybe Oliveira and Nick Lentz just wanted to get back in action, and they're like, "Fuck it, do it again. Whatever. I'm up for it." And it's just how it is, especially when we have such a massive roster with so many fights almost every week. You got to put fights in card, fill up a card. And if guys are willing to make money and they're willing to make that fight that they suggest, that's MMA matchmaking at the highest level sometimes. Yeah,
I don't really think too much about this match. I mean, but I think it's a good fight. I'm looking forward to watching it. I think stylistically it should be very entertaining to watch. But, I mean, would you put Charles Oliveira or Nick Lentz in like top contender fights? I wouldn't. I would not.
On a hot streak right now, though. Has he won like 4 or 5 in a row?
I think he is on a hot streak right now.
I see Jay typing.
Yeah,
Let's all wait for Jay to
he is on a hot. Like he submitted Clay Guida, and then he beat David Taymor.
Yeah.
But still, those aren't the highest profile of names. Those aren't top contender names. Nick Lentz just beat Nick Hine, I think it was. I forget who he fought at that he beat at UFC 229. But Nick Lentz and Charles Oliveira are not exactly going out there destroying superstars. They are putting on good fights. They're definitely putting some good work in the cage, but this seems like an appropriate pairing. So I don't really see what the problem with this one is. And maybe I don't know either one of their managers. So I don't know who's representing them. And yes, a good management will get you into, it was Scott Holtzman and Gray Maynard that Nick Lentz beat, not Nick Hine. I'm tripping, but yeah. Yeah. So Gray Maynard was the one he beat at 229. That makes sense. All right. So I don't know who their managers are, but good management can definitely get you in certain doors, like we see with Edgar facing Holloway coming up next. But still, this sounds right. I don't know, like, who do you have any better suggestions for these two to fight? Because maybe you can come up with one or two, but I don't really see anything much better than what we have, and much more appropriate.
I would like to see Oliver, because Jay also mentioned it in the chat. He's won 4 in a row, 4 straight submissions. I would like to see him because, he's always been that guy. He was a top high-level prospect when he first came in. He was on fire. Then he hit the wall. He finally reached, opponents he could not get past. And he's kind of been bouncing up and down and middle air for a while. Now he's on a hot streak. So, MMA is that weird sport where guys can peak later, and he got in so young, and I think he's barely in his 30s. So maybe he's really at his prime right now. I would like to see him throw like a legitimate type, because this is lightweight, right?
Yes, lightweight.
Yeah. So I mean, Ferguson's booked up. Like Kevin Lee would have been a good one. Ali Akinta would have been a good one, but they gave him to other people. So yeah, it's probably like he probably is deserving of a top contender, but just they're all got filled dance card. So
yeah. Jay dropped a couple suggestions in the chat. One of those, actually, I was just about to say James Vick, I think would be appropriate. He suggested Gregor Gillespie.
That's another. Yeah, that would be a great one.
Yeah, and Alex Hernandez as well. Like those make sense. But I'm still not mad at the Nick Lentz fight. It just it seems okay. Yeah. I'm okay with it.
Because you know what? And Gregor Gillespie would fit the bill too, because both of them are heavy wrestlers. So if you get a chance to get Oliveira to the ground, who doesn't want to watch that? So in the end, if it's not Gregor Gillespie, would it probably make more sense? Nick Lentz is fun too, because if he's crazy enough to wrestle him, man, this is one of the best submission guys ever in the UFC, which is saying something because they've had legends. So whatever, as long as he gets to the ground, Oliveira could do his jiu-jitsu shit. I'm for it.
Yeah, sign me up. I'll take it all day. All right, so let's move on to we'll go on to the chat and address a couple of questions that we got floating around there. But let's go to the UFC Rochester Who You Got segment. So Megan Anderson versus, excuse me. Oh man, that was nasty. Megan Anderson versus Felicia Spencer. Jason, who you got?
This one I looked at a little bit. Was Felicia Spencer the current champion at 145 in Invicta?
I believe so. Yes.
Yeah. So I mean, I really thought about this one, and her as a top prospect coming up, it feels like it has the makings of like she's maybe on the way up and she's a legit star. But the only thing I didn't like is it seems like Megan Anderson, if you're going to kind of grapple with her, she's big and strong enough to avoid takedowns and keep it standing, and a good striker. If you're a very good striker, like a Holly Holm type, she can get pieced up and probably lose. And it doesn't seem like Spencer is that kind of level of a striker. So I lean towards Anderson. But if Spencer won, I really wouldn't be surprised. I think the line, even when Jay sent in the emails, was fairly close for the betting odds. So that says a lot for Spencer already, how respected she is already.
Yeah, I think Spencer is on her way to great things. But I still think Megan Anderson pulls this one out. And I think because she has much higher level experience. she's been in there with Holly Holm. She, for all of a minute and a half, was in there with Kat Zingano. Like she's been with some people who are very good fighters. And while she does have some glaring holes in her game defensively, it takes a really good fighter to exploit them. It takes someone who's really, really on it. And I do think that while Felicia Spencer can do some great things in the future, I don't think she. Oh, you must have heard my wife sneeze, huh? I don't think Felicia Spencer is.
You don't need drops. You got sirens. You got sneezes. You don't need any drops on this.
It's all about creating ambiance. You know, we can't just do regular MMA talk. We got to do MMA talk out in the wild of Los Angeles. So that's what's up over here, man. But yeah, I got Megan Henderson winning this. I think she wins this fight by a finish, probably second round. But still, man, I don't think that would be a knock on Spencer and what she's capable of accomplishing in the future. All right, so the next who you got is Antonio Carlos Jr. versus Ian Heinisch.
Has Shoeface been out for a while? I feel like he hasn't fought in a while. Has he fought recently? Jay, could you let us know when was the last time he fought? I don't see him typing yet. Wasn't he? Was he supposed to fight Elias and then like the fight didn't happen or something like that?
Man, I honestly cannot remember. Let me see. I'm just gonna look up Antonio Carlos. He just beat Tim Boach.
That's right.
Yeah, last month. Yeah, and Jack Marchman in October. Eric Spicer. Yeah, he's been on a run.
Yeah.
So
I mean, it's hard to pick a guy against a guy with the name Shoeface because I like that name. So I'm gonna go with Shoeface.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Shoeface too, man. He's got the higher level experience in competition. I think he's the better finisher as well. He'll find a way to get it down, do what he does. Shoeface is tough as hell, man. He's a tough dude, man. I got him winning this. I think it's going to be a good fight. I think they will both have positions of some sort of intrigue and danger. But I think at the end of the day, Shoeface gets the tap. So my call is for him by submission. All right, and who you got? Rafael Dos Anjos versus Kevin Lee at welterweight.
This was a tough one because when looking back at Dos Anjos' recent fights, he just got utterly dominated by big, strong wrestlers. Now, Kevin Lee has the ability to do that, but he's not really that level. Like, he's not Colby Covington, Usman, who are cutting it at welterweight. He's not cutting really probably much at all. So is he as strong as Dos Anjos? I don't know. And also, Dos Anjos has to know, damn, man, I'm really getting dominated with wrestling. I really got to pick it up. Not that he's all of a sudden going to be a great wrestler, but this one was tough for me. I seem to keep betting Lee and that he loses. Like, I bet Lee against
Iaquinta. I did.
I bet him against Iaquinta, and I'm just getting wrong. But I'm going to lean with him here again just because of an age difference. I feel like he's a younger fighter. He's not cutting weight. Dos Anjos, as good as he is, as great a fighter he's been in the last bunch of years, former champion at lightweight, he's still an older fighter with a ton of miles on him. To me, it could really go either way. I can see either guy winning, but I'm just going to go with Lee just because of the age difference. I still feel like he's going to hit a prime at some point and get real good. Maybe it starts here, but he hasn't shown his best yet. Well, Dos Anjos is only getting older.
That's a good call right there. I'm picking Lee as well, but I think it's because of just how their styles match up. I think Lee is a grossly underrated boxer. He's grossly underrated with his hands. He's shown some good kicking ability too. I think also him being able to fight at a more natural weight is going to do him wonders as far as his strength, as far as his speed and his endurance. He's already a guy who has very good endurance. He's a guy who can take it to the full 5 rounds and give you work the entire time. I think that just the volume of that turns up, even though he is he's coming up in weight. We're talking about Dos Anjos, who also was fighting at 155 and is not a big welterweight. So I wouldn't be surprised if Lee is still bigger than Dos Anjos, despite the fact Dos Anjos has now been a welterweight for the past several years. I think Lee, man, imposes that wrestling game. He gets him thinking about it with his hands. He gets that wrestling on him, and he he does a lot of what Kamaru Usman did to Dos Anjos, except that he's doing it in a faster way, and it's less about just a bigger human being, but you have a better athlete on you. I think that's what it's going to look like, and I think Lee should get a decision. I see Dos Anjos being tough enough to last the distance, but Lee should dominate this one, in my opinion. All right, so let's go ahead and Frank McGregor asking who has the speed advantage standing. I would give it to Kevin Lee, man. I think he's got better hand speed.
You know what? And I agree with you. The only thing is, and in a way, and no disrespect to his coaches, but I kind of wish Kevin Lee would maybe change coaches or get a different coach, because he's still so sloppy in his stand-up. Athletically, he's faster, but Dos Anjos is the better striker, so his strikes will be crisper and straighter and more technical. So he may very well be, in the end, the faster one, just because it's more straight line, technical, accurate, while Lee's a little bit more sloppy, but on an athletic level, he should be the faster one.
Well, all right. So I totally off of MMA, because you see the message that you just dropped in the chat.
What?
Robert Pattinson is fucking Batman from now on. DC, I'm done. I'm done with you, DC. Oh my God! All right, so.
Oh my fucking Lord! For fuck's sake!
I'm just gonna scan this chat, and we're gonna get these questions, and it just
that end really the show there. It's over.
Really messed me up. It really messed me up. All right, so we got King of MMA. He said, "Bless you to my wife for her sneezing." I will pass that message. Thank you. How can I get on Sherdog? I would say, man,
write?
Yeah, if you write, go ahead and reach out to the website or one of the writers to put you in touch with someone.
I mean, because it's not like I like MMA. I'm going to be on Sherdog. I'm hoping there's some kind of resume, and some portfolio we can review and we can see about.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah, let's see if you're right. So if you are writing, if you're not writing, start writing.
Yeah.
And even if no one else is going to see it, no one else is really going to read it.
Yeah, there's tons of sites.
Like if it's not going to be published or something, that's what, just start practicing writing, and then if you feel it's up to par, go ahead and try to submit something. There are plenty of sites that are accepting writers and stuff. And submit some stuff to Sherdog, and we'll take a look, see what it is. But best of luck to you on that. All right, so let's see what else we got. We did have. Oh yes, Cole is acknowledging that yes, he is in fact Judas.
That's good.
And he is acknowledging that, so that's good. Frank McGregor calling it the zombie twist. Designated member saying Iron Monkey 4 is coming. The Kung Fu movie, Iron Monkey. Great movie. Yeah, I don't really think we have a whole lot of questions that we haven't just. Here we go. Yeah, so when we were talking about the title fights always being at the top of the card, Frank McGregor brought up Nunes versus Tate headlining UFC 200. Of course, that wasn't the most anticipated fight on that card.
And also, that was a last-minute change, though.
Right, that was a last-minute change. So that's
John Jones in DC too, right?
Right, and Style Double X also wants us to remember when Valentina Shevchenko was going to headline UFC 230 with Sijara Eubanks above Diaz versus Dustin Poirier, Whiteman versus Rockhold 2, Jacare versus Branch, and Adesanya versus Brunson, and the world almost lit itself on fire as a result.
Eubanks fights on Rochester, doesn't she? Or
yes, she does.
Yeah.
Yes, she does. Aspen Ladd. That should be a good fight.
Yeah.
All right, so I think that'll do it. As far as questions we got here on the chat, yeah, we got everything else out. So, Jason, please tell the people where they can find you. Tell the people what you have coming up for Sherdog.com. How can they get in touch with Captain Credential himself?
Well, you can always get in touch with me by following me on Instagram or Twitter at Cheap Seats Chat on both of those social media sites. Right now on Sherdog, I have up the Austin Hubbard article, which I'm really happy with. I thought it came out very well. Austin Hubbard, interesting path. He got into MMA just as out of boredom, got good at it, and was working at Walmart at the same time. And got like a Walmart job transfer from one state to another, so he can go to train at Elevation Fight Team, gets to train with guys like Justin Gaethje, Neil Magny, and now he's making his UFC debut on Saturday. Also, I have an interview with Julio Arce, who's also on the Rochester card. He makes his return after his loss at 230. Made some interviews with Shane Burgos, interviewed Tan Lee from One Championship. But those probably, I'm guessing, probably be next week and stuff like that. And there's also some PFL stuff next week, but I'll talk about that then. That's pretty much it in terms of that. Just looks for those UFC Rochester stories from me on Sherdog.com.
Well, so like for you to know that Mike S in the chat says he really enjoyed the Austin Hubbard article. So,
thank you.
Look at you out there touching people's hearts, changing the world. Captain Credential out there doing his best. And this guy's a model citizen. We love him. All right. So let me go ahead and pull this up before I mess up on how to pronounce it. Yeah, because I got some information I do need to read off here. So you can find me on Twitter at Walker MMA. That's also my Instagram. Surprisingly, I actually do post a few things on Instagram from time to time. Oh. It's mostly hip hop related, but I post something, so check that out. I also have an interview with Martin Lewandowski, who is the co-founder of KSW.
Oh, nice.
To him earlier today. Submission, that video was just submitted to the Sherdog YouTube page as well, so you can catch that. The video cut out because of some poor reception where he was, so I had to put a little picture over the whole thing, but it looked good, so go ahead and check it out. So as KSW 49 taking place Saturday, so that chat was in promotion of that, so check that out on the Zone Saturday morning. And let's see what else I have coming up. Ask Ant. I'll check out the questions left over, maybe rehash some of the questions that were answered that I want to expound upon a little more. I apologize for not doing it last week, but as you guys know, family emergency took precedent, so I had to go ahead and do my thing on that. So anyway, Ask Ant will be coming out. Good, Bad, and the Ugly, my regular post-fight column, will be live Sunday morning or Sunday afternoon. That's going to be a backtrack of UFC Rochester and just seeing the things that I liked, disliked, and hated, or whatever else about the card. And what else we got coming up? Oh, yes, the Walkout Network, my YouTube channel, will be doing a post-fight show after UFC Rochester. So go ahead, like, subscribe, tune in, check all that out as well. So now it's time for us to get ready to do Mixed Combat Radio with the homie Matt Hunter, also of Sherdog.com. So go ahead to the Mixed Combat Radio channel. We'll be going live in about 45 minutes or so. Yeah. So anyway, you know what to do. So everybody like, subscribe on this video, share it with your friends. Let them know what time it is. I am Ant Walker. He is Jason Burgos. And you know the routine, everyone. You've got to stay beautiful. You've got to stay positive. You got to be ready to name your event something better than a Kung Fu movie. But no matter what you name your event, no matter what, you must always stay sexy. I will see you when I see you. Peace.
I'm going to tell chat.